Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever in the world you may be joining us from today. My name is Francesco Del Carpio, and I am the CFL York Operations Coordinator. I would like to officially open the 19th session of our BRXR Training and Education Knowledge and Experience Sharing Speaker Series, presented in collaboration with the DEXAR Lab at York University. I will begin today with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territory upon which our campuses are located that preceded the establishment of York University. The area is known as Tkaronto and has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. The territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. As this is an online event, our participants may be joining from various locations, so I strongly encourage you to learn about the traditional land upon which you are located. With this, I welcome our moderator, our speakers, and our participants from around the world. Welcome to our webinar. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our moderator, Dr. Ahmed Mohammadi. Dr. Ahmed Mohammadi is a postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Civil Engineering at York University in Toronto, Canada, where he received his PhD in Transportation Engineering in 2022. His research focuses on intelligent transportation systems, the application of virtual reality in enhancing transportation safety, and traffic microsimulation modeling. He has collaborated with municipal, provincial, and federal partners, including York Regional Police, the Region of Durham, and Transport Canada, on projects ranging from IoT-enabled collision prevention systems to traffic microsimulation modeling for traffic simulation and planning. Dr. Mohammadi, thank you very much for moderating today's session. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Francesco. Welcome back, everyone, to another session. It's been a while that we haven't held any session. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ahmed, and I will moderate today's sessions. I pass questions, keep time, ensure that everyone has a chance to participate. I'm excited to moderate the discussion today about building an immersive learning virtual reality training environment in Industry 5, hosting two experts from Virtualware company who shares their experiences with us today. Okay, the main presentation would be around 40 minutes, and we will hold question and answer sessions afterward. In the meantime, feel free to submit your questions in the chat through the events. And yeah, so it's time to introduce the speakers. So the first speakers today is Michael Rosas, who helps companies use virtual and extended reality technology in practical ways. He is Vice President and General Manager at Virtualware company, where he works with business teams to improve how they research, prototype, design, train, and market new ideas. Michael focuses on making sure companies' daily processes are ready for a fast-changing, highly connected digital world. A key tool he champions is Viro, Virtualware's award-winning XR platform that they are gonna talk today about it. With Viro, teams can build shared 3D workspaces so people across the globe can meet, test idea, solve the problems together in real time. By guiding companies to adopt XR like Viro, Michaels helps them move beyond the traditional old limits, work more efficiently, and stay ahead of industry changes. Okay, now let's introduce Fernando Blasco, who is a telecom engineer from Barcelona with 25 years of human resource and business development experience in various countries, Canada, Australia, and Spain. He has worked with the top firms in rail and transit, like Metrolinx, construction, like FCC, advanced manufacturing, and human resource consulting, like Drake International Fuse HR. He co-founded his Panotech a Canadian non-profit network of 5,000 plus Latin American IT professionals and organized industry seminars on AI, IoT, blockchain, and augmented reality. Today, Fernando is a North American sales director for Virtualware, a global leader in 3D enterprise software. He helps companies in energy, automotive, transportation, defense, manufacturing, education, and healthcare adopt Virtualware XR solution to work more efficiently and sustainably. So with that aside, it's time to pass the discussion over the speakers. Uh, Michael and Fernando, let's begin the sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aman, and thank you, Francesco, for providing this space for us to be able to be with you here and communicate with the audience online. We're always excited and open to be able to have opportunities to have these discussions within this industry to be able to build awareness about the emerging technologies, especially within the XR community, that could potentially be helpful to help solve real world problems. One of the things I'm really keen today to discuss is just some of the ways that we see things are moving, especially in Industry 5.0. Some of the ways that we've looked to help industry be able to tackle these challenges. And in particular, because of our expertise within XR, hopefully provide some information and some practical framework where people can potentially start to think about how this could impact the work that they do and see how they could start to leverage these technologies to help them. Currently, Fernando looks like potentially I think something happened with his camera.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
No
can
worries.
you hear me?
We can hear you at least, so that's good.
Yeah, so maybe I do a little introduction of myself. And yeah, I'm Fernando Blasco. I'm actually a HR subject matter expert for more than 25 years, working with international companies in 5 continents and looking at all areas of the HR component, from talent acquisition to training, organization development, succession planning, and everything else. For the past 7 months, I'm in Virtualware, and that's an excellent platform to really recreate all the immersive training that I've been actually looking for many years. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe what we could do now is go into a presentation that we prepared. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start to open that up and share it with you. And just give me a moment here, please. Okay, so because I can't, because of the way Zoom works, I cannot see anybody anymore because I'm in presentation mode. Please, someone give an audio cue that you could see the presentation in full screen.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so as you mentioned, we wanted to discuss a little bit about building an immersive learning VR training environment for Industry 5.0. Before I get there, I'd like to just give a little bit of information in regards to Virtualware. We're essentially a global expert in 3D powered enterprise software. We've been around for 20 years, which means we've had a lot of experience of working particularly with industry and being able to find solutions to many of the problems in different sectors, especially when it comes to actually adopting and scaling this technology. We have 50 strong skilled professionals that work with us on a global level. We are headquartered in Spain with subsidiaries here in Canada, which is the one that I'm responsible and run, as well as in the US and Sweden. We're a publicly traded company. And so this is also something in regards to our effort to build more transparency to the companies that we serve, because we're an enterprise grade software. It's necessary to be able to show the, let's just say, the long-term vision of being able to invest in these types of technologies and be able to scale it with a partner that is trustworthy. Part of it too is we're within the, let's say, the XR community, we're extremely involved with our peers and being able to build our community stronger. And along with that, we've also been recognized with many awards, Innovative Company of the Year, Enterprise Solution of the Year. These are all things that we esteem very much in regards to our fellow peers. And we think that these are all things that are exciting for us to be able to build a better future for the XR industry. And then we just, we empower clients across many different industries, such as energy, defense, transportation, automotive, healthcare, and education. So I think one of the big things here too is that regardless of sort of what sector you're coming from, hopefully potentially there's something here where you could learn, because the way that we see it, we're enterprise grade software for any organization out there. And then we find ways to be able to adapt it particularly to the different vertical integration that's necessary for your industry. So let's start off a little bit and talk about, what if I told you that the boundaries between physical and digital worlds are dissolving? That factories, hospitals, classrooms, and even nuclear reactors are no longer confined by walls, distance, or even gravity. It kind of sounds like science fiction, am I right? Well, the truth is that this is a reality, and this is something that we've been focused our energies and being able to create, and not just on a customized level, but something at scale that we can deliver to people, whether they're educational institutions, let's just say like a York University, or even companies that have wide-ranging locations across the globe. So to show you a little bit about this, I'm going to start with a video so you have a bit of an understanding of what it is and get you excited, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what this looks like. All right, so you can kind of see there a little bit of what we're going to talk about in this whole concept of building immersive learning environments. That's in particular, that's one of our viewer rooms that we have located at McMaster Innovation Park. It's something that whenever we bring anybody to, it creates a lot of excitement in regards to all the capabilities of what this technology can potentially provide. Again, to different sectors. And so, this is something that is not even the future. This is something that's happening now. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to talk a little bit about what that looks like, so that the audience at home has an ability to understand what the potential is here. So what I want to start off first is just in regards to the foundations of Industry 5.0 immersive learning. So one of the, let's just say, key sort of differentiators between Industry 5.0 and Industry 4.0 is now the human in the loop experience. So this whole concept of, automation and all of that has essentially already taken place within our world, and people are already very familiar with that. Now the concept is okay, well, how are we interacting with these robotic machines, this digital landscape, this digital world? And so, what I'd like to talk about here is this idea of digital twins and using XR technology, which is what allows us to be able to interact from a human-centric approach to our digital environments. So with let's just say with the oncoming tsunami of AI going to be implemented in probably everything that we do, and everything becoming ever more digitized, what is the way that humans are going to interact with these environments? And so this is something that, again, we take very seriously, and we understand it from our approach. One of the best ways to do it is to utilize the XR technology that exists today and is going to continue to grow and become better and more efficient and more scalable. but leverage that in a way that that can help companies and institutions start to take part in this new evolution of industry. So the idea here is to get ready for Industry 5.0 and unlock the power of digital twins by introducing XR as an effective deployment method across your company or institution's value chain. XR powers organizations to fluidly integrate virtual and physical workspaces across workflows and operations to enhance learning, communication, safety, and performance. And one of the key things that I say here is, and I always kind of want people to think of this from like a macro level, is how can this be something that is effective across your company or institution's value chain? Because oftentimes we focus on potentially one aspect of things, and let's just say we find a point solution for it. But ultimately, in order to start to adopt this in a meaningful manner, we have to start to think of it on a macro level of how this is going to affect everybody across our organization. And so essentially what we've done is we identified this and we created Viru, which is the XR enterprise platform that lets you build your immersive learning across your organization. And so this graphic here that you're seeing is a representation a bit, obviously a simplified version of what is a complex architecture that we deliver through the cloud. But essentially what it does is it allows you to create your immersive experiences, whether it's a learning scenario or an engineering review, whatever it is, whatever sort of digital asset that you have, it allows you to utilize lower barrier to entry low-code tools, utilizing the Unity gaming engine that then you upload to the XR platform, which is Viru, which then allows you to manage that content, manage users, manage your data, the ability to manage sessions, create them, invite people to multiple sessions that could be happening at the same time across your organization. This is something that we felt was a bit lacking, especially in regards to the hands of people to be able to do it with their own IP. This is something that's crucial to be able to have that ability to manage all of this internally. And so this is something that the platform offers to be able to scale it. And then we have that ability to deploy. So you've created your content. Now you've managed your users, you've created a session, and you've invited your users. Now it's necessary to find a way to be able to deploy it in many different ways, because your users could potentially be coming from, let's just say, home, from even a desktop or a laptop computer. They may not have a headset, but they still need to connect. There could be a scenario where they're they have a headset at the office, and they're connecting that way. We even support projection cave systems, which a lot of universities or even especially on the engineering side institutions have, or companies have. And then what you saw in the original video, which is the immersive room, where you have basically what we've created is virtual real estate, where multiple people can be working within virtual environments of unlimited amounts of simulations possible collaboratively at the same time in a safe environment. So the platform is the infrastructure. Think about it that way, which allows you to build on top of it any kind of learning experience that you want. And again, it's not limited to one point solution. It's something that can be across many different industry verticals, or particular things that aren't just, let's just say, down to one department. And so what we're doing is we're trying to take away the friction and demystify the use of XR as something that is sort of a one-off or interesting experience, as an actual tool that is accessible to many people across a company's value chain. And so essentially what this means, immersive learning across your value chain, is what I'd like you to ask yourself is, where can XR technology help my organization in solving real-world problems? And so what you see here actually there's sort of this idea, sort of a bit of a value chain here, but you see training there, which is something that, you know, a lot of us understand XR to have a tremendous value in. But if you're talking about learning, there's many ways to be able to learn, many different other scenarios that are not particular to an actual training scenario. And so what we talk about is utilizing Viru to create content once from even the beginning stages of the design phase, right? That ability to enhance real-time collaboration and ideation, where you're learning through that ability to utilize these to visualize things that probably aren't even built yet, along collaboratively with other team members. Again, this is that ability to be able to prototype these things that overcomes inherent limitations associated with elevated costs of building physical replicas. And so you can be learning about this whole process as well too, by using it that way. Another way is the development of digital assets. We're talking about digital assets or the digital world. You can utilize these technologies to build to make significant product leaps more efficiently and sustainably because of the ability for your team members to be able to work in these environments. One of the most interesting things that we have in regards to teams developing content, even training scenarios, utilizing the platform like Viru, is that they could easily work from remote locations. So they don't necessarily all have to be together, and can be improving on and working with other people within their team on the actual software itself, or at least the experiences of the software, without having to have a final application done and ready to do that. So it cuts down a lot of time. Obviously, on the manufacturing level, the ability to create one-to-one digital twins of assembly lines to virtually plan, review workflows, and optimize workspaces. That ability to be able to learn whether you're actually and test and validate before you actually build a manufacturing automation system is a huge plus, because as we understand, it's very costly when you make mistakes once you build it and you have to fix that afterwards. So this is the type of tool that can help solve these kinds of problems. And then now we're into, once you have something in production, it's operational out there in the field, you now have a digital twin of that you can then transfer into a training module and add the training, which is again what we're more familiar with in regards to XR technology. But now you're not starting from scratch in training. You already have sort of an engineered sort of final digital twin product that you could be utilizing and building from there, and being able to develop real world simulations to train your workforce in these specific operations for the life cycle of that whatever the product or system is. And then of course promotion. You know, oftentimes, and it's interesting because obviously I'm a very outward facing person on my team, where I'm always constantly talking to industry professionals, you know, even government policymakers, all kinds of different stakeholders out there. And one of the best ways for them to learn about this technology is for me to show them how it works. So sometimes we don't remember, but learning also comes from promotion, of being able to show the ability of whatever your automation system before you're actually going to build it to a potential client, and to be able to actually get the sale and the funding to be able to actually do that project. So these are all learning opportunities, and this is all something that is possible, and what we've considered when we built the platform Viru that allows for all-in-one interoperable device agnostic ecosystem that evolves and integrates with current and future XR advancements, so that when you do start to adopt these technologies, you have at least the trust that you know that it's going to keep on growing and adopting everything else that's happening within the industry, while you focus on your content and building the learning capabilities that you have at your organization. So now that you have a bit of an understanding, at least, of what we do, and let's just say our philosophy of how XR can be impactful across organizations' value chain, let's jump into some real world use cases. So one of our biggest clients is GE Vernova, formerly GE Hitachi Nuclear Energy. So they're the arm of GE that does the nuclear technology side. And so essentially what they had is they had a challenge to improve operational safety and lower the cost of training. And so the idea here was to find an efficient and effective approach to training personnel and optimizing operations that could reduce operational costs and lower the price per megawatt of the energy. It was a significant challenge, particularly given the extreme requirements, expertise, and investment that the nuclear power industry demands. In particular, they had a physical replica in San Jose, California, where they would train all their operators from all their operations worldwide. And so you can imagine shipping people in from everywhere to do these things. Not only was it was limiting in the fact that they could only do it once a year, but also extremely costly because those workers weren't actually working at their plants, and also in regards to travel and per diem expenses, these kinds of things. So they were looking for a solution, and this is what we provided for them, to establish VRU as the core VR platform for high fidelity training simulators. And so the idea here is any plant, room, or modular of a nuclear reactor can be replicated and laid out into VR to conduct complex training sessions and virtual scenarios, providing harm-free environments for trainers and operators. So this is where we're talking about creating basically a digital twin of these nuclear facilities. You can see here there's an image of one of their reactors there, and so now they have this as a digital asset that they can utilize for their training. And we went through a very extensive process to be able to do it in a way where obviously it was approved, and they're able to actually say that this is something that makes sense for their operations. But more than that, that's the one thing, and that's great to be able to have the content, but let's just say this bigger picture, introduce VRU to scale the use of the VR simulators across our global network of plants. And so that VRU remote VR collaboration capabilities enables GE Vernova to work uninterrupted in their training sessions around the world. And so this is what we're talking about. We have multiple locations, one in their headquarters in Wilmington, North Carolina, in San Jose, California, and one in Toronto, particularly in Markham, Ontario. And they're able to connect together these immersive learning environments, connect together. So there could be specialist trainers in their headquarters that could be connecting with people with their location in San Jose, where they could be having trainees there without having to fly over and observe, and be able to coach and help with any kind of scenario remotely. So the idea here is going from traditional training methods to a robust VR solution that integrates seamlessly into their workflow and IP roadmap. And so we kind of talked about their pre-R VR phase, and now they're in the scaling VR phase. One of the interesting aspects is the VR IP development for internal training, as well as commercialization, collaborative and streamlining team integration, utilizing VR for training, design, review, even, and promotion. And so now we talk about it again. They started off with training, but if you remember what I was talking about earlier in regards to across the value chain, they're now using it for the design review of their new small modular reactor, which is the first one's going to be built in Darlington, Ontario. So this is something that they could do in the lead up to the actual build of that. And also they're using it to promote and help other countries and places be able to learn about their small modular reactor, because none of these have ever been built yet. Like I said, the first one's going to be built in in Darlington, excuse me. And so how do you show this? How can people learn about this? They use the digital twins that we have built for them to be able to spread that knowledge, and it's been working really well. And they've been getting a lot of contracts. So these are the kinds of things where the adoption and the ability to expand an IP development is something that's really exciting, and we think that if you have the foundations, there's limitless opportunities of what you could do with this technology. Another one that we're working on right now is with Nexstar Energy, so training new factory workers in Canada's automotive capital. So some of you might be familiar with this. This is the first battery gigafactory that's being built in Windsor. It's a joint venture between LG Energy from South Korea and Stellantis. And currently right now, it's actually live. This program is live. And this is something that I'm actually going to switch over to this one. where they had a problem in that they needed to accelerate factory build out and train 300 new factory line workers for the EV battery gigafactory. And so, along with Invest Windsor Essex, who's the head partner and running this current program, along with the help from Upskill Canada and Pallet Skills Development, we are creating a solution to introduce our cloud-based enterprise expert platform, Vero, being delivered through AWS. And what we've done is we built a multi-user virtual reality training center of excellence where they can bring different cohorts in to train on the digital twins that we've created at the factory and interactive training modules. So essentially the benefits here are the ability to reduce time to production start, reduce upfront CapEx on virtualizing processes instead of using real equipment, and then reducing OpEx as they now have virtual training for the life cycle of their operations. And a huge one too is even attracting new workers. This is something where they've had, we just recently found out 25,000 people have applied. So you can imagine this has built up a ton of demand. I'm actually going to go over to here. You can see here, this is the room, and this is a immersive learning environment. You can see there's a room, but there's also traditional classroom settings as well too. So this is sort of like this idea of a hybrid approach where you can have both of them working hand in hand, where traditional training can be done, but then you can bring in those cohorts into the immersive training environment to be able to do things like that are actually in the factory that aren't even built yet. And then going back to speaking of the attraction, like I said, a lot of people applied for this. This is something that they're going out there and marketing, and it was really bringing a lot of attention to industries that are struggling right now in regards to finding people with skills. And this is an opportunity for them to be able to apply it to these types of industries and be able to learn utilizing virtual reality technology to be ready for when the factory is ready to open for them. So a really exciting project that's happening, and excellent sort of real world use case of how our platform and these types of technologies are having an impact in industries and our workforce today. Now, another one I wanted to talk about is Ohio University. And so this is interesting because they're at already a phase 2 level of maturity in regards to adopting these technologies. Essentially, one of the problems that they have in the first phase is preparing students to operate in Industry 5.0 factories with industry certifications. And so what they did is they started off with what we recently acquired, a company called Cinematic, which is a virtual commissioning software, particularly for building any kind of automation and machine systems. This is something that takes away the, let's just say, the guesswork of the commissioning process, which can be very costly, and putting it in the hands of in a virtual environment that allows people to actually build a virtual smart factory and even connect it to real PLC controllers so you can see the physical equipment and be able to control them and do everything in real time. And so this is something that is really interesting because it's the ability to leverage these virtual emulation types of softwares like Cinematic allows for the ability to provide students with access to latest manufacturing robot platforms through the structured curriculum. Again, oftentimes educational institutions, it would be very costly to have every single type of machine available or robotic system available. And so this has a way to be able to provide access to that to students. The ability to create new certification programs with industry partners for robotic technicians and factory line operators, and obviously attract new students due to programs in factory automation. And so this is the first phase that they started with. And then now the second phase is where they validated that and they want to take it to the next level. And that's the workforce development side of essentially similar problem as the one that we were talking about before, but a much larger scale. They need to upskill local workforce Industry 5.0 jobs for new factories being built by Intel and Anduril for 7,000 new workers. So a much larger scale of workers. probably also too for many different types of applications. And so the idea of the solution here is to integrate Viru with Ohio University's virtual smart factory infrastructure to create a cloud collaboration platform, and then install immersive labs at multiple locations that can double as training centers. And then essentially build the worker training programs. They're also working with the US Air Force Material Command. So they have certain things particular to the defense industry, but then there's also worker training programs that they're going to be building for Intel, and they're building a large semiconductor facility there. And so as you can see, they have 2 different campuses. They're going to have 2 different rooms that they can connect together, these immersive learning environments. And obviously the benefits there is to be able to accelerate the workforce training programs, open these factories sooner, and improve the local economy in Ohio. So now that you have a bit of an idea of the capabilities and even real world use cases, what I want to do is I want to just share a practical 5-step framework of maybe how people who are tuning in can start to see how they could start to implement immersive learning environments themselves. And so what I usually start off with saying is identify specific use cases, start small, find a particular problem where immersive learning can make a difference. For instance, could XR training enhance employee onboarding? Okay, something simple in that sense of how is this something where maybe it has been complex before, can help now, and start to think about how it's possible within your organization. The other thing I always say is build collaborative partnerships. You don't have to do it alone. Partner with tech providers, consultants, and educational institutions like York to share knowledge and resources, right? The team at York have obviously been doing many projects for many years. They have a lot of industry knowledge and work with many different people within industries. And you know, it's always great to have people and access to those types of resources. Again, technology providers like us, other consultants. But I think the big thing here is always, this is still an emerging industry. And so it's good to build collaborative partnerships and work with other people and be able to leverage their expertise. The other thing that's necessary is to invest in skill development. So equipping yourself and your team with necessary skills. This might mean training in new software, understanding the basics of XR technology to truly unlock their potential. This is, again, you know, the way that we see it, we have an approach of providing tools and the training and the abilities for people to do this autonomously. We know that the only way for this to actually truly scale and to really unlock the true value is for people to be able to use these tools to then solve the problems within that are particular to them. And so really it's just a matter of developing those skills. And so that's something that I encourage people to at least think about and get started on. And then oftentimes we maybe sort of think everything is a bit too overwhelming, but I always say build through iteration. Begin with a pilot project, learn from them, refine your approach, and then scale up. It's about continuous improvement, not immediate perfection. You know, even the biggest of companies, even a GE, we started off with a particular pilot, but there was a learning. Oftentimes, these are the first times that you're going down this path, and you're going to learn a lot from the iteration of that. But always be open to the idea that it's there's a bigger picture, and that once you're able to at least show some kind of return of investment or some kind of proof of value, then you get to the scale part, because now you've proven it, and it's you could scale it across your organization, educational institution, or even commercialization for industry clients, something that you could be providing to others and having a way to deliver to them. So through XR. So this is something that's I hope that at least it's, you know, fairly broad, but at least a practical step framework that's helpful. And so I'll just end this portion of the presentation here with a bit of a sort of.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Michael, because it's 41.
Oh, okay.
41, so I wish you can wrap up the presentation. Yeah, okay.
I'm done. This is the last. This is the last one. I was just going to say, you know, if in the coming years, XR will intertwine with artificial intelligence, 5G and beyond, creating richer, more responsive experiences. Digital twins may become a commonplace as physical assets, and the metaverse economy is anticipated to be worth $5 trillion. So the idea here is, will you be a passive observer or an active creator in this unfolding narrative? The question that I have to you, but you could feel free to reach out to me. This is my LinkedIn. What I always say is think big. What are the problems you can solve? And then start small, pilot, iterate, and then scale fast. Thank you so much for taking the time for the presentation.
Thank you very much, Michael, for the time management and the great presentation. So we have a couple of questions. So first question is about the effectiveness of the different applications modules that you were talked, like design, manufacturing, training. For instance, there is a debate that XR creates biasness to assess human in the loop to evaluate the performance. So can you please explain a little bit about the effectiveness approach that or performance that you are taking?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, like any scenario, there's always gonna be some bias that you identify, and so you just have to take it into account in whatever it is that you're doing. To sit here and to say that this is going to solve 100% of all your problems, it's just not true, right? What we're providing here is a tool just like any other that could help you potentially reach certain goals much quicker and potentially do it in ways that were just not possible, especially in regards to environments that may be unsafe, right? So using the nuclear one in particular, we have certain environments where modules where they are essentially in the real world, they're exposed to radiation. And so they can't actually even do it for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And then they have to take breaks, like literally months before they actually go and they maintenance these things because of the radiation levels that they're going through. So being able to actually go and utilize XR technology and in a scenario that allows them to create competency in the maintenance of these types of systems that are dangerous and be able to do it not having time limitations and getting proficiency brings you potentially 80% of the way. Now, I'm not saying that you still don't have to have the ability to actually do it in the real world. And those finishing skills should always be something that is taken into account and that's done in the real world. This is something that has taken you to a certain point. And again, GE has already validated that as something that is valuable to them and identified that whatever bias that they have because of the virtual world, they'll figure it out in the physical, but they've been able to get there 80% much quicker and then more safely to be able to do it. So.
Okay, so another question is what security or data privacy features does Wire offer for the regulated sectors like defense, for example, right?
Yeah.
So the data privacy is very important in those.
Exactly. So it's a great question. It's one of the things that I love to hear because when we're asking questions about security, it means that there's actual real world use cases to things. Because it's one thing to just have it on a headset and it'd be like sort of some module, and it's another thing to actually be on have real IP that needs to be secure and deployed in secure environments. So our platform, again, obviously we've been through this process with within the nuclear sector. We also do stuff within the defense industry. And so the way the software architecture works is we have the ability to deploy through cloud, through AWS. It's a Docker system, and it allows for, because also in regards to GDPR regulation, we have, let's just say, the highest aspects in regards to security and data privacy. Now, for particular clients where export control is actual, let's just say, paramount to the success of any project, we also have offer in regards to our corporate plans, the ability to have on-premise versions of the platform that can be deployed and not have access to any kind of internet or within your company's IT infrastructure systems. And so what this does is this allows for companies to where, again, the information is not leaving from their actual IT systems. These are customizations, right? And so actually, oftentimes what happens is there's even a hybridization of this. And so in particular, some clients have certain things that they could be hosting on the AWS, and that's fine. These are sort of the ones that are certified for that. And some of them that are expert control, and they're only on premises and on the company's IT systems. And so as a provider, we do that. We do that, and we offer those services because we already have clients who've asked for them, and we've already gone through the process of doing it, and we understand that that's something that's necessary, especially for the adoption of these types of technologies.
Okay, so yeah, among the different area that you are targeting or market per se, let's say manufacturing, energy, automotive, which one is the fastest growing markets and why? What's the reasons?
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think, well, traditionally, defense, of course, they've been utilizing XR technology for many years. It's very mature there. We'll see what happens with all the changes that's happening right now in the world, but with probably the acceleration of more, let's just say, investment within defense, there'll probably be more of an acceleration of this technologies as well to help ramp up in regards to production of defense-related, let's just say, supplies. But sort of, so say, just sort of getting that out of the way, because that's the juggernaut, right? Then you come down to a lot of industries like energy industries, aerospace as well too. Again, where there's complexities that they could adopt these technologies to help them with simulating things that basically would be extremely costly to do. But what we're seeing too is, especially manufacturing, because of the complexity of automation systems, they just keep on getting more complex. And this is where there's even a huge skills development sort of gap, where finding people who can even understand these complex systems is really tough. And so being able to virtualize those, being able to work with having different people from engineers and operators work within environments to be able to actually build automation systems that work properly really brings down a lot of friction, a lot of the complexity, because it's almost like you're working with tangible sort of like, there's simulations of them, but they're much more tangible than sort of seeing them on a screen. So we're seeing manufacturing, but also even we're doing stuff in transportation, railway networks, and then also healthcare. Obviously, healthcare is something where, again, with not many people, or with, let's just say, the need for more nurses, the need for more technicians, all these kinds of things like that. What's the way to be able to scale it? And you don't have enough people subject matter experts who could do all the work. And so being able to actually have simulated training that they can do, self-paced learning is something that is big. We're really seeing that healthcare is starting to say, hey, this is potentially a way, one of the ways, not the only way, but one of the ways that we could potentially meet the demand, because we need to upskill a lot of people. So I mean, I could probably keep on going on, but those are
yeah. So moving on from the markets, one question from audiences is, how does Viro differ from general purpose game engines like Unity, Unreal Engine, when used for enterprise workflow?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, so the authoring tools that we have, I mentioned earlier, we have a Viewer Studio that you use Unity. And so essentially Unity is still a part of it. What we're doing is we're building the part that Unity is not a part of Unity's core business, which is the management of that content and the deployability for an organization. So you don't, like, if you were a Unity developer, you don't necessarily need our platform to build in Unity. But once you have that actual application, like whatever it is, how are you going to deliver that? And so, oftentimes even studios and we work with studio partners who could even build on our platform and deliver. And one of the let's just say the value adds there is that they can concentrate on what their core business is, which is building the actual content, right? But they actually now have a delivery method and a service that's provided to their end client, because now also too, you're delivering it. And also let's talk about even, especially about research at universities and stuff, right? You could be using this and building out through your research some kind of solution for one of your industry partners. But at one point, you're going to have to hand it over to them, but you're not in the business of servicing that for them, right? And so they need the infrastructure to be able to create the users, to be able to do all these things, to be able to deploy it to different people, whatever it is. And so we're the infrastructure, and we allow the different people who are a part of, let's say, this ecosystem to be able to work together, right? And so institutions, VR content creators, right? They have a delivery method, and it allows them to continue on doing what they do best. And then we provide the services to that end client, and then for the life cycle of whatever that product is. And then even, let's just say, those content studios or even universities, they can still maintain their relationship with the end client, right? And they can even update things and do all that stuff, but they could do it through the platform and do it much easier, so that it just basically gets updated to all the different devices, all the kind of stuff like that. And so this is where we talk about we're infrastructure. So we're not doing anything. We don't do what Unity does. We're what allows what you're building in Unity to actually be scaled across your enterprise.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, another question is what kind of information we can start reading to know how to identify a particular problem in actual industry, and what would be the next step?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's that practical framework, I would say, like, would be the first thing. I would just sort of just look at that and start to identify things of what I showed in the presentation. And then there's definitely, I mean, there's a lot of information out there. There's books about the industry. There's also a lot of white papers. It's the kind of thing where, like, I mean, if you want, Ahmed, I can share some materials to your team, and it's going to be something where if people are just interested, they could reach out or something like that. And these just sort of like downloadable things or links, because I feel like it's be hard to like list it all here. You know what I mean? Maybe something as like a sort of like a follow-up download package or something that people can access as a resource. But maybe that could be helpful. Yes.
So yeah, that's a following up question is regarding the an advice to the younger engineers or developers. So what do you advise, for example, to younger engineers for 2 days that they want to do in XR developments and they want to start in these regards? And what would you emphasize the area?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's one of the big things that's interesting is that traditionally, most people who have gone into this, let's just say, type of industry, they've come into it from a gamer perspective, sort of, or like a gaming perspective, entertainment perspective, which is totally fine, and that's great. And there's a lot of people out there. What I would say is consider that there's basically every single sector out there in the world is going to start to utilize this technology, and so there's tremendous opportunity outside of just gaming to be able to build skills and bring value to these types of clients. One of the questions that we get asked from our clients is also too is, okay, well, we're interested in sort of adopting and scaling these things, but where do we find the talent for this, right? And so these are the conversations that we also have with universities and colleges and stuff too, is how can we start to build an ecosystem, and even if it's micro-credentialing or things like that, where developers or people who want to be content creators within this space can have access or at least an understanding of building things for industry, right? Because this is where there's a tremendous opportunity, and like we're saying, it's only going to become more. I would say it's still early stages, so like there's still a lot of runway to go, but this is where even it also helps you sort of like what would you say, like spread out your risk, because even if the gaming industry contracts, you have all kinds of other potential
Yeah.
industry people who could be looking for your skills. And so to me, I would say just be open that to that idea of not just a game, but solving real world problems with some of the stuff that you build in, and that will potentially open up career opportunities for you.
Yeah, that's a great point that you talked about. So normally, that's maybe a questions to you is from among those peoples that you maybe Fernando, if he's listening, can take because he is in human resource. From those uh, people or engineers or developers that you are hiring, how many percentage or how many of them have gaming development background, instead of VR industry-based development background, like that's a good questions.
You want me to respond, Michael?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so one thing that actually we are noticing in the market and the modern job market is changing faster than ever, and the required skill sets for jobs have shifted probably more than 25% since 2020. And VR and technologies and start technologies and immersive training is becoming very much. In 2027 is going to be probably a growing skills gap into that. So it's a real need for gaming developers moving into industrial developers with a solid unity. I think that the perspective is probably that the market is out there. The market is really probably hiring with the minimum conditions, because don't forget as well that there are some paradigm today that there are no code softwares as well available. So you have possibilities as well with minimum knowledge and exposure to get involved as well in some projects. Now, in fact, with Viru, we have that possibility as well.
Yeah.
So I would say that the companies obviously they need to be the first one, the corporations, to recognize that job market is open for specific skill sets, and then just start moving into some training. And I think that immersive training is probably the key. Upskilling and reskilling for the future is coming that way.
I'm just going to add something quickly because I see the time too, because Fernando brings up a good point. So we have low code tools, and we feel that that's like this is the idea of bringing accessibility to people who are not necessarily even just programmers, right? So engineers or other people who may just want to use it as a tool, but they don't need to actually build an application. They just need to bring in their design and be able to, right? So this is where we're looking to build out that ability where more profiles can start to use this technology at a lower barrier to entry. But I would still say for the people who are looking to program, don't fear, because you still need people to do advanced stuff. You still need, like, we're not using low code tools to build nuclear reactors and simulations, right? So you still need that level. So but I guess what I'm saying is there's going to be a bigger spectrum of people starting to utilize these technologies, some as just like a tool that's a part, not their focus, but it's just a tool that they use, and some that are building, and that's exactly what they're focused on. There'll be a spectrum in between there of what kind of skills you need.
Okay, so because we are running out of time, just the final questions from the audiences is just please respond to very shortly, but
Okay.
he's asking what is the minimum experience required for a Unity developers?
It's I would say fairly low, like in the sense of like, even if you've been training for about a year, you could come in as a junior, right? And this is what I was saying, like even using some of our low code tools, people are they're leapfrogging the ability of what you could do even just a couple of years ago, right? And then learning along the way. So I always encourage people, I mean, obviously get started, right? After 6 months, you'll probably be able to start to build something. And even after a year, there's companies out there who are saying, okay, it's a junior role, but like you're good enough to start to be a part of our team, and you can grow within it.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So for the great presentations from Michael and Fernando. And thank you very much for the participants and audiences. I am just passing the discussion to Fernando to say the final words. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say thank you as well to Michael and Fernando for taking the time to be here and present. That was a great presentation, very informative, and thank you for covering everything you do so in depth. And really, it was nice for you to kind of focus some of what's going on for the future as well, and where this technology can really take us. Thank you as well to the audience for taking the time to be here. It's good to see some of you coming back after a long break between sessions for this series, so thank you so much. And thank you, Ahmed, as well, for putting this together. Oh yeah, Sajjad, did you want to add anything?
No, I just wanted to put a clap sign over there.
Oh,
Sorry for
oh, okay, no problem. Thank you so much. And yeah, just as a reminder to everyone, this session is recorded and it will be up on our YouTube channel probably within the next few hours. So if you'd like to revisit the presentation or share it with anyone who couldn't make it today, please feel free to do so. And yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully we will be able to continue doing some more of these sessions in the future again as well. So follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and get some updates there as well. So with that, thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great day. Yeah, thank you again for
Thank
the
you.
great
Thank
presentation.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.